Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, folks. And I didn't ask for this for Christmas, but we got 2,000 YouTube subscribers this year, so thank you so much for allowing us to hit that milestone. So I thought for the occasion I would do a Q&A, so I left that out in my Discord and on my community tab, and I have a handful of questions I'm going to answer right now. So let's do that. Let's do that thing where I answer questions. Alexander J asks on Discord, a three-parter, what's your fondest and worst memory of a stream or video you have uploaded, like subscriber interactions, or just plain having fun or raging? The fondest memory I've had is a hard one to nail down, but in general, the first series of Final Fantasy VII videos I did back in 2017. Those are very fond memories for me, because that was the moment that this YouTube journey became real to me. Before all of that, YouTube was just me basically screaming into a void, not really thinking that anyone was ever going to hear me. But here we are, 2,000 subscribers later, so never say never. I wouldn't have all these other fond memories if it wasn't for that, so I'd have to say just those early Final Fantasy VII memories. Worst memory of a stream that I've done, not counting streams that I shame deleted already, I would have to say my Demon Souls finale in particular. I died inside. I definitely died a little inside doing the Demon Souls finale. What I should have done was stopped and take a break, but I didn't do that. Instead, I just bashed my head against the brick wall until the brick wall broke. Don't do that. But that's the problem. That's like, that's part of my play style. Which, for better or worse, I'm really stubborn. And I just know if I just throw myself at a task enough times in a game, I'm gonna stubborn my way through it. When all I should just do is take a break and just try again the next day when I'm not frustrated. And like, I ended up beating Demon Souls that night. And, like, even though it was an accomplishment, I didn't feel accomplished. I was just happy for it to be over. But I hope that the stubbornness I have does inspire other people with their gaming. Because if they see me just throw myself at something for 6 hours, but then just do it anyway, I just hope it makes some people think, like, geez, maybe I could do this too if I just kept at it. And I'm sure you could. For better or worse, for your mental health. But I'm glad that Demon Souls didn't sour my Soulsborne experience. Dark Souls and Bloodborne were a lot of fun. And I look forward to playing Dark Souls 2 and 3 one of these days. And this is where someone clips the future when I stream Dark Souls 2 or 3 and talk about how much I hate it and regret playing it. Question number 2. What's the worst game you've ever played? And what's the best game you've ever played in your gamer life? Oh god, have I ever played some garbage? Worst game I've ever played answer wouldn't be complete unless I included Bebe's Kids for Super Nintendo. But I hated that game so much that I've run out of hate for it, and now I have an ironic love for it. But I'd be remiss not to bring it up. As for a game I still hate, Rise of the Robots for the Super Nintendo, awful. Awful fighting game. Looks great. Graphics are great. Game's awful. Just don't put yourself through that. You know the 3D Battler minigame in Final Fantasy VII? That's better than Rise of the Robots. Like by a mile. There's no comparison. And lastly, the game that I like truly feel is the worst game I've ever played, and I haven't tried it since the only day I ever played it, and that's Deadly Arts for the N64. I don't remember a ton about it. I just remember I played it for 5-10 minutes. I rented it, and then I returned it the same day, which is something I very rarely do. And I haven't played it since, thankfully. It just... You ever play a game that's just so bad that you get like a migraine just from playing it? That's what Deadly Arts did to me. But I don't know, maybe someday I could subject myself to it again. Ugh. Best game? My favorite game? I prefer to break this down depending on the stage of my life. Earthbound was my favorite game as a child. Final Fantasy VII, for PlayStation 1, was my favorite game as a teenager. Nier Automata was my favorite game as an adult, which is saying something because normally I wouldn't put something that's not just a straight JRPG in, like, best games ever, but, like, Nier Automata was that good. But if I didn't play Nier Automata, I would have said Persona 5. And Chrono Trigger is timeless. I can't include a best game ever without Chrono Trigger. And lastly, what would be my game of the year for 2020? And damn, like, Final Fantasy VII Remake is up there for me. Like, 10 out of 10 enjoyment on the first playthrough. But I wish it was the whole game. It's so hard for me to be like, this was the best game of whatever, if it's not the whole thing, if it's just a chapter. But I'm also convinced that I liked Resident Evil 3 more, the Resident Evil 3 remake, more than anyone else on the planet. But the reason why I think that is now is because I played 3-make before actually beating Resident Evil 4. And being able to replay 3-make with rocket launchers and all of that is so much fun. And 3-make was my first experience with that, where I found out more recently, like firsthand, that Resident Evil 4 has like a similar thing. So I could see if someone had that in Resident Evil 4 for the first time. Like for me, Resident Evil 3-make was the first time that was a thing. So I really enjoyed it for that. And lastly, I have to mention Super Mario 35. I still play that game in my off time. I actually just the other day, I should boot this up and just show this, because I don't know whenever else to show this in context. Yeah, let's make sure we get this on the screen. I don't know if it'll be mirrored, but like, this is the last 10 games of Mario 35 I played. I won 8 games in a row. Like, I am good at this game for whatever reason, and I enjoy the hell out of it. But I don't know if you can really count Mario 35 as like a game of the year when it's a 35-year-old game, essentially. Next up, JPA asked via Discord, a question for the occasion. What made you get into YouTube and streaming to begin with? Glory, money, hobby, meet new friends, fun? And congrats on the 2 subs, you deserve way more. Well, thank you very much. But my main inspiration for getting into YouTube was, I don't want to bore you with the details, but during my 20s, I had a period that wasn't exactly happy times. But I watched a YouTuber by the name of Nintendo Capri Sun, you may have heard of him, who played a lot of the same games I liked, and he was like a super relatable dude. Like, he's still super relatable dude. But since he was like such a regular guy, it made me want to get into it. Like, in fact, I first learned how to make videos from a Nintendo Capri Sun tutorial. So without Nintendo Capri Sun, I might not even be here answering questions. And he still uploads to YouTube today, so give him a chance and give him a watch if you've never heard of him. But I wanted to upload specifically gaming videos to YouTube at first, because it was an area I had some measure of expertise in. And I like to play games that you guys have either never heard of, or play a more common game, but show you a trick or something that you never heard of, and then I hear, oh, I never knew that. So if I hear that, that's like mission accomplished for me. But I also wanted to make videos in the hopes that, like, just by trying to be as real with you guys as I can, if that could provide some measure of enjoyment, or if I could be relatable in a similar way to someone going through a tough time, I want to pay that forward. And it's been really cool seeing people get inspired by these videos I make. It's the circle of life. Kayfabe asks via Discord, what are goals you'd like to meet in 2021? And another little thing about me, I'm generally a one day at a time type of guy. I don't usually like to plan too far ahead. But if I were to say I have goals for 2021, I would say my main goal is to just stay on the path that I'm on right now. I've been rejuvenated with YouTube as of late, so I need to push hard while I still have the drive and energy to do so. And also just to make an effort to stay positive until everything gets back to some semblance of regularity. Sean Liu asks via Discord, when are we getting part 3 of the Picnic Basket Saga? As you could imagine, logistically filming part 3 right now is a nightmare due to COVID. And on top of that, Dr. Monahan is out of province at the moment. I presume he's busy practicing medicine in the jungle. Unfortunately, I have no ETA on Picnic Basket 3, but we all definitely still want to make it. Dark Ninja Ruler asked via Discord, did you ever do the video of you donating to a homeless person, or taking them out to lunch, giving them gift cards? No, I didn't upload it. But fortunately, with the advent of YouTube Shorts, not only will it make the video easier to produce, with the reach that YouTube Shorts have, more people will see it. So don't worry, it'll be worth the wait. Jonathan asks, what do you do in your free time except for streaming? Also, what are your hobbies? Outside of streaming, a lot of my free time these days is just me trying to keep up on the latest YouTube news. Like, that's really a passion of mine these days. But like outside of TV and internet stuff, I do like to try to exercise, like when I'm healthy enough to. Like, I do like to go to nature parks when the weather's nice. And I do like to go with my didgeridoo. Yeah, you may not know this, but like I have a didgeridoo. I actually like to play the didgeridoo, believe it or not. Like when the weather's nice, I like to go to a nature park, play my didgeridoo, and do yoga like a true tree-hugging hippie. But like after injuring my rib as my time as a pro wrestler, yoga has been great to help keep my pain to a minimum. And I did used to be more into just general fitness as well as just studying nutrition. But like this year especially, I haven't been as active. Fingers crossed this summer we can get back into it. You know, and of course playing with my good friend Speedy. Buddy. I think I scared Speedy with the didgeridoo. Cody asks via community post, congratulations, here's a question. Why do you name your cat Speedy? I love telling this story. So for those of you that don't know, my pal Speedy here was a stray. The day we met, I was walking to my favorite pizza joint uptown, and the skinny little marmalade cat approached me, and me being the weirdo that I am, when I see stray cats around, I try to be affectionate with them and make friends. Well, this little fellow was so affectionate. So much so that I felt compelled to pick him up and pet him, and he let me. So I thought to myself, this cat's so sweet, he's definitely coming home with me. But I also thought, I want to make sure I'm not just jacking someone's pet. Like, he didn't have a collar, but I wanted to make sure I wasn't taking someone's pet. So I decided to let him down and grab my slice of pizza. I figured if I thought he was a stray, and the little guy stuck around for me, he would come home with me. So I asked the people at the pizza place if they knew who this cat belonged to, and they seemed pretty certain he was a stray. And my mother's best friend just so happens to work with animal shelters, and specifically is involved in a community for redhead stray cats. So if you belong to anybody, she would have a good chance to hear about it. So when I sat down to eat my pizza, this nice little cat jumped up on the windowsill and waited for me to finish the pizza. So at that point I realized this kitty adopted me, and he came out with me that day. So to actually answer your question, I was a huge fan of the cartoon series Samurai Pizza Cats, and the main character's name was Speedy Cerviche. He was the leader of the bunch. And seeing as I found him just outside of a pizza place, I thought the name Speedy was appropriate. So I want to thank everybody for asking these questions. I also just want to say Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and hope for bigger and brighter things in 2021. And as always, don't forget the lard, too.